Had some emails about program 5. Most of the questions centered on the JavaScript portion, I think because that's the part I omitted in the first discussion. So I'd like to take a look now at the code, which I've added a little bit to the code in the JavaScript file. So once again, all of our functions need to send a CSRF token to the server so that it validates our request. I've created a function, handle CSRF, that will do this. You just have to call it before sending a get or post request to the server. So in addition to that function, I've written just a dummy sample function, get user list, which makes a get request to the server and displays it in the console log. So whatever the server is returning on a get request to the user's path, that's what's going to be displayed in the console log. Now, to have that function get user list ever get called, I need to bind it to some event. So in the first example, I only bound it to the ready event, the event that occurs when the page first loads. You do need to write code for the ready event. You have to load the list of users when the page first loads into the user select list. But there are 5 other events that need binding. All 4 buttons and the change event for the user select list. If you pick a new user, you have to go to the server, get the items for that user, and then display them in the items list. Now, even though I have the exact same function bound to all 6 of these events, it's a dummy function. You're going to need to write 6 different functions, one for each of the events, and they'll each do something different. I want to show you the dummy function in action. I think maybe I didn't. So every time I'm reloading the page without clicking on add random entries, I'm getting new random entries. Yeah, all right. So the standard get, I'm just returning main, not doing anything. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. This isn't the main page. This is the test page. So recall from last one, I created a pure Django test page. It has no JavaScript in it, and the purpose of test is simply to give us something to look at that shows us what's in the database. So test will display all the users, and it will display all the items. So I have a bunch of items and users in the database. I have 4 users, and each of the 4 users has 1 item. I can make a query to the items endpoint, and it actually works. The code that I wrote for items is working. You don't need to add anything to it. So If I request, hey, tell me what you know about items, the items endpoint will give me an empty list in return. This isn't a web page. It's just raw text. There's no HTML here. That's a JSON response. And it's saying, you didn't give me a username, and so the user you gave me, no one, has no items. But if I specified one of the users in that database, if first user had a name of 407, then I see that that user has one item, 9910. If I go back to the database and look at a different user, 1934, I can ask about 1934. Does that user have any items? Yes, 1934 does have an item, 5590. So you can test what your Django endpoints are producing without capturing that in the JavaScript in your web page. Look at the raw JSON response for the GET requests. Of course, it's much harder to format a POST request. If you type a URL into the browser window and you're making a GET request. For the POST request, you will need to capture on the JavaScript side. So let's load the page. Right now, all of those events, including the page load event, fire off that get user list function. And so my code, my dummy code, is just displaying the contents of the JSON that's being sent back. Now, this isn't a list of user names. It's a list of user objects. That's not good enough. So the get method of the user's Python class, a view in Django, is going to need to be changed. It shouldn't be sending complete objects. It should just be sending names. I should see a list of 407, 1934, 8371, 1770. But I'll get the same response if I click on any of those buttons because they are each bound to that same function. So loading it again, and again. I don't know that I can actually select a different user because there's no users in the user list. But if I could change that selection, doing so would fire to another time, sixth time, because that's another event can't have to run. So the buttons do work. They do fire events. You can write a function to respond to those events. Right now, there's just a dummy function sitting in this code. Your task is to flesh that out. The Django side is probably quite a bit easier. If you just follow the pattern that I did in writing the list get method, the user get method is very similar, and the post methods do one thing, add or delete an item, before they do the exact same thing as their corresponding get method, return a new list of all the items. No, take that back. And before they return an error or success code. So the posts are probably easier to write than the gets. They don't need to query the database for anything. They just need to create an object and save it or delete an object. So I think that answers the questions I saw in my emails. This new version of the code will be posted in just a second so that you can load it, restart with it, copy and paste your code into this one if you'd like. It's all the same files. Pretty much all that was added was those few lines of JavaScript and code.js. Probably won't be able to make another video until maybe Sunday. But I will certainly be available via email, so send me your emails and I'll respond as quick as I can. And it's not due till Tuesday, so we will have time to interact between now and then if any issues come up. Good luck.